If you're watching this video, either you've recently lost your life partner or you're preparing for one of life's most difficult transitions. What you do in the first year after losing your spouse can determine whether you rebuild a meaningful life or fall into a spiral of regret and isolation. Today, I'm sharing the 5 critical mistakes that can destroy your peace after 60 and exactly how to avoid them. Mistake number 3 catches nearly everyone off guard, and mistake number 5 could cost you your financial security. Stay with me until the end. Losing a spouse after decades together isn't just grief, it's losing your partner, your best friend, your daily routine, and often your sense of identity. According to Harvard Medical School, the first year after losing a spouse is the most critical period for your mental and physical health. But here's the truth: while grief is universal, suffering doesn't have to be permanent. My name is Dr. Phillips, and today we're talking about the mistakes that can keep you stuck in pain, and more importantly, how to honor your spouse's memory while building a life that still has meaning, joy, and purpose. Mistake number 1: making major life decisions within the first 6 months. I've seen it happen countless times. Within weeks of losing their spouse, people sell the family home, move to another state to be near children, give away possessions, or make drastic financial changes. They're operating from a place of raw emotion, not clarity. Here's what grief experts call this: grief fog. Your brain is literally functioning differently. Decision-making abilities are impaired. What feels urgent today might be your biggest regret tomorrow. A widow named Margaret sold her home of 40 years just 3 months after her husband passed because it felt too painful. 6 months later, she desperately regretted it. She'd sold below market value, lost her community connections, and realized she'd erased the happy memories along with the sad ones. The solution? Give yourself the 1-year rule. Unless it's absolutely necessary, like a genuine financial emergency, wait at least 1 year before making major decisions about your home, finances, or relocating. Use this time to process grief, rediscover who you are as an individual, and make choices from a place of strength, not survival. Mistake number 2: withdrawing from friends, family, and social activities. After losing your spouse, social situations feel impossible. You're now the single one in a world of couples. Conversations feel forced. People don't know what to say, so you stop answering calls, you decline invitations, you stay home where it feels safe. But here's the hard truth: isolation is one of the biggest predictors of depression, cognitive decline, and even earlier mortality in older adults. A study from the Journal of Aging showed that socially isolated seniors have a 50% higher risk of dementia. Your spouse would never want you to disappear from life. They'd want you to keep living. I'm not saying you need to become a social butterfly overnight, but you do need to maintain some connections. Here's what works. Start small. 1 coffee date per week, 1 phone call. Attend a grief support group where everyone understands what you're going through. And here's something powerful: find new communities where your couple identity doesn't define you. Join a book club, take a class, volunteer at a cause you care about. In these spaces, you're not the widow or the widower, you're just you. Mistake number 3: letting your physical and mental health deteriorate, and this one is the silent killer. When you're grieving, self-care feels pointless. Who cares about eating well when you're eating alone? Who wants to exercise when you have no energy? Who can sleep when the other side of the bed is empty? But here's what's happening in your body. Chronic grief triggers constant stress hormones. Your immune system weakens. Your risk for heart disease, stroke, and other health conditions skyrockets. Research shows that the risk of dying from a heart attack doubles in the first month after losing a spouse. They call it broken heart syndrome, and it's medically real. You must prioritize your health, not for yourself initially, but as a tribute to your spouse. They loved you. They'd want you to take care of yourself. Here's your action plan. First, see your doctor for a wellness check. Be honest about your grief. Second, maintain basic routines. 3 meals a day, even if small. Set phone alarms if you forget. Third, move your body daily. It doesn't have to be the gym. A 15-minute walk around the block releases endorphins that fight depression. Fourth, if you're not sleeping or having thoughts of self-harm, please talk to a professional immediately. Grief is normal, but suffering in silence is not necessary. Mistake number 4, going to extremes with future relationships, either rushing into something new to escape loneliness or closing your heart completely. Both extremes are harmful. Some people, desperate to fill the void, jump into a new relationship within months. They're not looking for love, they're looking for a distraction from grief. This almost always ends badly because you're not emotionally available. You're still processing. On the flip side, some people declare, "I'll never love again," and shut themselves off completely. They wear their grief like armor, pushing away any potential for companionship. Here's the balanced truth. You don't need to know right now whether you'll ever want another relationship. That's a decision for future you. What you need today is to heal, to remember your worth, and to stay open to life's possibilities, whatever form they take. If companionship enters your life naturally after you've processed grief, whether that's a year, 2 years, or 5 years later, it doesn't dishonor your spouse's memory. Love isn't finite. Opening your heart again doesn't mean you loved them less. But equally, if you genuinely prefer to honor your spouse by remaining single, that's completely valid. The key is making that choice from a place of peace, not pain. Mistake number 5, avoiding or mishandling critical financial and legal responsibilities, and this can devastate your future. I know paperwork is the last thing you want to deal with while grieving, but ignoring these matters can lead to massive problems: depleted savings, tax penalties, lost benefits, even losing your home. Here's what you must handle. First, notify Social Security, banks, insurance companies, and pension administrators about the death. Each has time-sensitive deadlines. Missing them costs you money, sometimes thousands of dollars. Second, understand your new financial situation. What income streams do you have now? What are your expenses? Many widowers and widowers discover too late they can't afford their current lifestyle and are forced into crisis mode decisions. Third, update your own estate planning. Your will probably names your deceased spouse. Who's your beneficiary now? Who has power of attorney if you become ill? These aren't morbid questions. They're acts of love for your children and family. My strong advice: hire a financial advisor who specializes in widow-widower transitions and an estate attorney. Yes, it costs money up front, but it saves you tens of thousands in mistakes. Many offer reduced rates for seniors or initial consultations. Also, watch out for scammers. Sadly, newly widowed seniors are targeted by financial predators. Never make investment decisions under pressure, and always verify someone's credentials. If you're going through this right now, please hear this. Grief is not something to get over. It's something you learn to carry differently. Some days will be harder than others. That's normal, but you are stronger than you realize. Let me recap those 5 critical mistakes to avoid. Number 1, don't make major decisions in the first year. Number 2, don't isolate yourself. Maintain connections. Number 3, don't neglect your physical and mental health. Number 4, don't rush into relationships or close yourself off completely.
Number 5, don't ignore legal and financial matters. Your spouse loved you. They'd want you to live fully, not just exist. Honor their memory by building a life that still has moments of joy, purpose, and peace. If this video helped you, please like and subscribe. It helps us reach others who need this message. Drop a comment below. What's one small step you're taking today towards healing? I read every comment, and this community supports each other. And if you found this valuable, watch my next video about how to rediscover your purpose after 60, or 7 Things I Wish I Knew Before Retiring. Both are linked on screen now. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. Sending you strength and peace.